I'm sitting with Daniel Peter Taylor here in Canberra, just outside the National Library of Australia, and he's agreed to an interview about his situation and about his time in Canberra and the issues of concern to him. Daniel, thanks for the chance to speak to you.
Yep.
I would just like to say that this is an interview we're recording with the idea of using this information to write a profile for you. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I've just got a number of questions for you just to learn about what you're doing. For people to understand more about you as a person, people might not have heard about you in the media yet. Can you give us some insight into your past and how you describe yourself?
I just describe myself as a normal Australian bloke. Yeah.
Okay, where are you from? Where are you born?
All over. I was born in Adelaide.
Yep.
Yeah. Spent a bit of my childhood there, did some of my schooling there, and also in the southeast of South Australia.
Yep. And currently you're receiving welfare, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Before you were receiving welfare, what sort of work have you done and what sort of life have you lived?
No, I've pretty nomadic life. I've travelled all over Australia. When I was younger, I used to follow the fruit trail, picking fruit and that. Also worked on CDEP projects. I've done labouring work, cleaning, housekeeping, just pretty much low skilled labour because I didn't take advantage of the education that was there for me.
Okay. To someone hearing about the issue of the cashless welfare card trials here in Australia, how would you simply explain what it's all about?
Well, it's hard to really explain it simply. The government's version is that it's here to address alcohol and drug use in the community, welfare spending. You know, they don't want the welfare money to go on drugs and alcohol, which is, I can see their point, but if you look further into it, there's a lot more. It's a total grab of power from the people. We've lost all of our rights to privacy.
So what does it entail? I mean, what is the cashless welfare card itself?
It's a program that's come out where we get our welfare payments are split into two portions. 20% we can access as cash through our normal bank account, and 80% goes into a indue credit card by some private corporation. We're not protected by any banking rules or the privacy rules we used to be protected by.
So is it a credit card, debit card? What is it?
Oh, well, I'm not really sure. They say it works the same as any debit card, but when you read the books, the fine print into it, it's not at all like a debit card. We've got no protection at all, like we did with the bank.
Okay. For people learning about you and hearing this for the first time, when and why did you start expressing your views about the cashless welfare card trials?
When I got the card, I activated it and I had a book of conditions. I went home and read that. It took me a few days to get to the part on privacy, and then I noticed it said by activating your card you agree to all privacy terms. And then when I read through, I saw that there was no privacy. All of our information is being shared with federal government, state government and non-government agencies without our permission.
Okay. Have you been involved with activism in the past?
No.
So this is your first time?
Yeah, pretty much, other than liking a couple of sort of radical activist style posts on Facebook. Yes, I've never been into activism before this.
Were you given a choice to go on to this trial?
No, it was just mandatory. We live inside the trial area, so we're on it. They say it was going to be targeted at people, and it was targeted at people that live in that area, not at the people with the problems that it was supposed to address.
And what area are you talking about for people listening for the first time?
Kununurra in the East Kimberley.
Okay. Personal question, how have the trials impacted you and your family directly?
It's put an enormous strain on me personally, physically, mentally, emotionally, and then that's come off onto my, affecting my partner, my children, our quality of life. This has been a really stressful situation and time for us.
Do you have any stories to share with us about the impact of the card on others in your community? What do you see is happening in your community with this trial?
Well, since it's come in, I've seen the people it's supposed to help, it's not really helping them. They're still finding ways to get around the card. There's still a lot of humbugging, bludging, whatever you want to call it, going on in the community. There's kids that weren't really getting into trouble before, now they're wandering the streets because parents don't have access to cash to give their kids for simple enjoyment, like going to the swimming pool or the picture gardens, and now they're basically getting in trouble out of boredom.
What other negative behaviours do you think are coming out of this trial? How is it distorting what people do? How do they, I mean, if they're desperate for cash, I mean, you're saying that...
Oh yeah, there's...
You're saying that only 20%...
People are resorting to crime. If you've got an addiction, you need to address that addiction. Taking your access to cash away isn't going to help with that addiction. You're going to do things that are morally wrong, criminally wrong to get your fix, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And yeah, it's just that there's a lot of bad things that can be associated with it.
How about the other side of the coin? Do you have any good stories about the card?
Well, for people that want to take advantage of and use it the way it's designed, yes, it's good, but we could have just been put on the basics card, which has already been operating. The government, you know, their own reports state that it's not really working. We could have been on that and we still would have had our right to privacy. We wouldn't have had all of our purchases tracked. But this new one's been brought in and it's all of these other things in the back door that we don't really know about. And once this trial's been called a success, it's going to be rolled out nationally, and the rest of Australia could be under this same thing. Secret community panels that we don't know about, getting information, access to our information.
So do you see conflict of interest, or what's your concern with the
well,
way it's been implemented and accountability for the government?
No, yeah, I think there's definitely conflict of interest. They're dealing with these organisations that are supposed to be helping the community for the last 20 years, and I think that them organisations are partly responsible for a lot of the dysfunction in the community. They've taken millions and millions of dollars over the last 20 years and watched the community go to hell.
What brings you to Canberra? Why are you here? And
you know, I'm here to connect with academics and make more political contacts, and just to spread the word. It's hard to get the word out in our own community. We're silenced up there.
And how are you going about your campaign to fight the cashless welfare card?
I've prepared a submission to the United Nations for human rights violations of participants that's ready to be submitted this week. And I've also been speaking with other international NGOs and been provided some legal assistance, and we're looking at other avenues that I can't really speak about yet because they're not before the court.
How are you communicating with people about the campaign? I mean, how are you getting your message out there?
Through social media, emails, telephone. I'm just speaking to everyone I can, making contacts all the time and letting people know what's going on.
Is it correct you sent out a press release the other day?
Yes, it is.
So you're getting some interest from the media?
Yes, there's been quite a bit of interest from the media.
Okay, with this campaign, who is your target audience? Is it the politicians, the welfare recipients themselves, other activists, or just the Australian general public?
I'd like the politicians to know what's really going on, because they're only getting fed the half-truth, the stories in Parliament. They're not getting the whole story. And the Australian public, I want the Australian public to know what this government is up to. This policy, when it gets rolled out nationally, can potentially affect up to 2 million ordinary Australians.
Who is supporting you and what are they doing?
You know, I've got a small band of supporters on social media and that. I've got my family supporting me. I've got a small group of people in Ceduna supporting me. I've made contacts in Canberra. I'm getting help with media contacts and just helping me along. I'm new to all of this. I'm just a simple bloke, you know. Like, I didn't know how to get along, and I've learned that there is a way, contact between us and government. We can do it, and if they don't listen, there are other people outside of Australia that will listen.
What can other people do listening to this or reading this do to support you and the campaign?
Do your own research, look into this. There is a lot of facts out there, and you just have to search to find them. Don't believe what you're being fed in the media by the government. I think there's a bigger agenda behind it, and I think if people look into it and other people start questioning, the government will have to admit or provide some kind of accountability of what it's really up to. What is their bigger scheme of things here?
And for you in the campaign, obviously funds are important. You're on welfare. So how can people support you with the campaign in relation to funds?
I have a GoFundMe page going at the moment, because at the moment I've got appointments all around Australia connecting with legal experts and supporters. Also, I'd like to bring some people from Kununurra and Sejuna together to have an actual voice. We haven't got the funding like the government. They're funded by millions of dollars. They got backed by the mining companies. I'm just a simple bloke on a dole payment trying to do this. You know, it's not easy.
What's the aim of your campaign? What do you want to see happen?
I'd like to see the trial stopped. I'd like to see the recommendations that the Parliamentary Human Rights Committee put into place that the government's chosen to ignore. I'd like our privacy to be protected. I would like to know what their real agenda is.
Any final comments about the cashless welfare card? What about any comments to the people that are still on the trial?
There are people out here that are willing to support us and help us in the fight against this. We're not alone, but we need to speak up as a unified voice people.
Daniel, thanks for your time.
No worries, thank you.